What's up? This is Patrick at Radicards.com, and today we're going to be talking about a question that was posed by a reader, or someone posed this on Radicards, and it is: does winning a World Series affect baseball card values? Okay, this is a very broad question, but certainly an important one to consider. Okay, now, there are two parts to this question, two answers rather. Yes and no. So yes, in this way: if the team member that's on the winning team for the World Series was played consistently on every game and made consistent performance that was desirable, right? Dependable, reliable, high quality performance came through nearly 100% of the time, if not 100% of the time. Okay, if that team player is on the verge of getting like a World Series MVP award, right? They're just consistently delivering. Then if his team wins the World Series, yes, the value of that person's baseball card has a high chance, a very strong chance of going up in value. The next surfacings of certain items will attract many, or have a high chance of attracting many prospective buyers, driving up final price. And on the flip side of that, as a seller, you might revisit your auctions and think, wow, if this ends like an hour before the World Series ends and this guy's done so well, I've seen sellers pull the listings down and then relist it at huge bin prices. There was an Alex Bregman from 2017 Bowman Chrome. It was the Superfractor, the Auto Superfractor, and it brought in like tens of bids, and it was at like 2,500, and it ended hours before the World Series. And then the seller, I noticed, took it down and relisted it for like $10,000 because Bregman's on the Astros and the Astros won the World Series. I get it. I understand that. But there's also this element of understanding when you're listing something and how it relates to what's happening in the market presently, milestone-wise. In this case, the World Series is that milestone. And you gotta think to yourself, well, if I list this and they lose and it ends an hour before the World Series ends and the Astros lose, then I've maximized that value output, that yield. But if the flip side of that, the risk you take is if the Astros are winning, then I've minimized that output yield. And I've discounted the maximum potential value that I could have gotten for this card. So I understand why the card was pulled and then relisted. But part of me is like, man, give buyers a chance. You listed the card auction style, let it ride. But who am I to say? I'm not that seller, so what do I know? I just saw that, noticed that. Now, so that's a key player. He did really well in the World Series. I was really impressed with Alex Bregman's performance. He did a fantastic job. He played consistently. He was reliable. Did a really good job. So yes, World Series title will help drive sales for his cards. Now, let's talk about the other piece of that. Baseball teams have a pretty big roster. They have pretty big rosters. Not everybody that's on the team will get playing time in games. Okay? So if, John Doe, let's just say, is sitting on the bench and he's on the winning team and he hasn't played a single game in the World Series, he's either injured or like he doesn't, he's not performing. He's a backup utility, like three levels down. Like he's just not a priority. But he's on the team just in case. Like one of the key guys gets hurt and his backup gets hurt and then they bring in the third guy, right? Those guys exist. They exist on the Astros. They exist in every team. When that happens and his team wins the World Series, I don't think you're going to see any jump in price on that player's cards because he didn't perform. He wasn't on in the spotlight. You might not even have seen him or even knew he even existed, but he was on the team. So in that way, I don't feel like it'll impact that player's baseball cards. I think the chance is very low, very slim to none, that a World Series ring will drive sales for a non-priority utility player. So when you look at that piece of it and think to yourself, well, Astros have won, so I guess all the cards of all the players for the Astros team are going to go up in value. Rethink that. Reformulate that thought. And look at it as the players that performed during the World Series, their baseball cards have a higher chance of going up in value. Guys who win awards, the World Series MVP, guys who are interviewed after the game that talk about their performance that were like clutch for certain events that took place in certain games. There's a chance there. The probability is much higher with those players' baseball cards going up in value than the John Doe bench players that are 3 down on the priority list for utility. Anyway, I hope you got something out of this, and I hope that answers some of the questions. And you're able to look at this question in a different way going forward when milestones happen in baseball. Thank you for tuning in to Radicards.com. And until next time, enjoy collecting. If you like this content, please subscribe. Thank you. Enjoy collecting.